It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening and welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, CEO and founder of the Women's Small Business Initiative, LLC, and award-winning author. And welcome to another night of sharing. With us, we have author Darlene Green, highly sensitive, a natural empath, healer, teacher, and scribe. Darlene Green has followed her heart's direction in discovery of the sacred in life. After many years of spiritual practice and study, Darlene experienced an invitation by the Masters of the Council of Light to sit with them as scribe daily for 1 year and 1 day. The result is the extensive body of work that is in service to love, relayed through 3 books. Love Remembered in Service to Love, Love Elevated and in Service to Love, and then Love Now. So welcome to my platform, Miss Darlene Green. How are you, Darlene?
Oh, I am doing great. It's just lovely to be able to be here with you and to be able to connect with your audience as well. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Well, it is my pleasure, and I'm excited. I can't wait for us to have this discussion. We obviously talked a little bit before we came on. I was like, okay, in my mind, I'm like, I need to stop talking because I'm taking all the things I want to talk to you about, before we get on the show. So, oh, wow. So again, welcome to the platform. And why don't you tell my listeners, before we start to dive into everything else, a little bit more about who Miss Darlene Green really is?
Well, actually, you covered a lot of it in your intro, and I know that I'm not the only one out there. I know that you have other people out in your audience that are also empathic. So what that looked like for me is that my whole life I've been really, really sensitive. I can, it's like I can see things that other people don't see. I can feel things that other people don't feel, perhaps, and I can hear things that other people don't hear. And so for me, as I was growing up, I was receiving a lot of information, and so the world just felt really noisy. Mm-hmm. And so I first heard the voice of my counsel when I was 4 years old. And I remember the day like it was yesterday, and believe you me, it wasn't. It was many, many years ago, and it was just such a natural experience that it was kind of like, but of course, my inner experience of it was, well, of course. Mm-hmm. And I thought that I grew up thinking that everybody had the same level of sensitivity and awareness. And it's taken a long, long time to figure out that actually that's not true. Many people don't. So I started to utilize my level of sensitivity, and I entered into the healing arts when I was in my probably 30s, and that led me really on a spiritual path. I've always had this internal sense that I was here for a larger purpose. Mm-hmm. And the experience of that was almost really frustrating because I could feel it all the way around me, but I couldn't touch it. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know, it's like I couldn't identify what it was. So I would say that my sense of mission, my sense of purpose has been really an underlying experience in my life. So it'll look like I'm getting married and we have, family and, and I'm working and so there's that level of living. Mm-hmm. But there's also this other level of experience that I have in my life that says there's so much more, Darlene. There's so much more. And it was this inner calling to something that I didn't really know or understand. Mm-hmm. Yet throughout my whole life, I have had this knowing and like this experience with Jesus, like these knowings and experiences and conversations with angels. Mm-hmm. I mean, and when you have that experience, it's not something that lives in, a place of mystery.
Right.
It lives in a place of I know that I know that I know that I know, even though I know it doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. And so I've kind of lived those two tracks in my life, and I've been on a very intense spiritual journey, like a voracious reader, mm-hmm. Really intense student, and just like I've got to find it,
right,
kind of a thing. And I would find pieces in different in healing. I'd find pieces, and then anyway, all.
ET is Ryan Seacrest here. People always say it's good to unwind, but that's easier said than done. The exception, Chumba Casino. They actually make it easier done than said, or at least the same. Chumba Casino is an online social casino with hundreds of casino-style games like slots and blackjack. Play for fun. Play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Sign up now and collect your free welcome bonus at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, "Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody." Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back. And we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this. Everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm, Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
All parts of my life would contribute like pieces to this puzzle. And then I realized in 2015 that who I am is a scribe. And I had that realization when I visited sacred sites in France. Mm-hmm. And then that began the writing. I came home and I began to develop my level of sensitivity even more and write. And then December 26th of 2017, I experienced this most extraordinary, beautiful, undeniable experience of invocation of Jesus and masters and angels in front of me, a sea of them in front of me, mm-hmm. like with their hands out, inviting me to write and sit with them every day. Mm-hmm. Now, I had no idea this was going to be a book. I thought, man, this is really a fascinating thing, and, I'm just going to sit down and write. I don't know what's going to happen. And so every day's writing really is what has come out in those books. It's those books, In Service to Love, the three books, each one with 122 days of writing.
Wow.
That was very long, Kimberly.
That's a long time. And that's a lot of information, but we're going to backtrack some because I heard you say in the beginning that at 4 years old is when you met your masters. What did you mean by that? And talk a little bit more to the listeners, that deep feeling of understanding at 4 what you were really going through at that point.
Well, at 4 years old, I'm a twin. I mean, I remember that day, Mom and Dad and my twin sister and I, it was Christmas and we were, it's interesting that it was the same time of year. So it was right at Christmas. And I was looking out the window and we were in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I was watching the snow, the sun shine off the crystals of snow, and I was just mesmerized by it. And I would go into this only thing that I can identify it as is like an altered state, but that was kind of normal for me. And I just had this thought of this experience on this planet is so strange. People are running around and they're being like they aren't all like in the state of peace or like joy, and it's like there's this chaos. And why on earth am I even here? And the words that I heard, it wasn't the words of my parents. It wasn't the voice of my parents, but it was the voice of like a group. It was a group of voices. And they said, to make people happy. That's why you're here. And that was enough for my 4-year-old self to be able to hear at that time. What I know, so basically it's not like I took that as a profound thing because it was so natural to me. And it wasn't until many years later and I'm on my spiritual journey and I look back at that and I think, oh my goodness, this is when the council started speaking to me. It was the Council of Light, and it's comprised of many master teachers, Jesus, Saint Germain, Mary Magdalene, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Michael. There's Melchizedek. There's many that are a part of this wise group, yeah. So
wow. That's pretty deep. For 4 years old, that's very in-depth understanding of that, what your purpose was and why you were there. But going through that process and realizing that you have that connection with the councils, all these people with Jesus and so forth and so on, all the people you just described, how do you, as a child, and then become as a young adult into adulthood, how can you handle that every day? And then you also said, you just said that you had a twin. So does your twin have the same highly sensitive mannerisms and things that she's going through and have that empath as well, that natural empath, or is it just honed into you? And then how do you two separate with you being twins? Now, I don't know if you're fraternal or identical, but normally twins are very sensitive to each other and really have a lot of the same entities, even though they have their own selves, that they, that we can actually pick up on. But how do you two handle that, being in the situation you're in? And then, of course, again, as the years have gone by, how have you been able to deal with that? Because you sound very unique, and a lot of people don't understand uniqueness in the way that, we're talking and you're describing what you've gone through and what you continue to deal with on your journey of life.
Well, I think, first of all, my twin sister and I, we're fraternal twins.
Okay.
But we are highly connected. We're really connected, and we are talking all the time. And I can sense her and she can sense me. But the level of there was no place for me to have this level of sensitivity. My, mom and dad, mom, we had a strong family. But I was just really sensitive to to everything. I was the one.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody. Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this, everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
That was very, I was the one that was very creative. I was the one that was the natural healer. So that's really how it would come up. I could never put the words together. I'm so kinesthetic and so empathic that I experienced the world through sensing and feeling. And it wasn't until I was in junior high that I had the thought that maybe I can have a thought about these feelings instead of just having them well up inside of me, which is kind of an interesting thing. But I think that what it points to really is the fact that we all have these different ways of experiencing the world. And now it's great that the school system acknowledges the different learning styles of people.
Right.
But for me, I have to consider all of that as just absolutely perfect. But it really fueled my life experience of living life the way it looks like on the surface, but there's this deep inner track that is going on inside of me that I can't always put to words. And it lived as I'm in search of something. I remember saying to my sister, I guess maybe we were in high school, and I said, you know what, Debbie, I feel like I'm being mailed somewhere, like I'm in an envelope, but I can't see where I'm going. I wish I knew where I was going.
Wow.
So
that is a strange feeling. And I think a lot of times we all have certain sensitivities. Like you said, yours is very highly sensitive, but it's how people don't know how to deal with that, that wonderment that we feel sometimes, like, something may happen, but you're not sure what direction you're going. And for you to use that analogy there of, you feel like a piece of mail, but you have no clue what direction or whose, stump you may end up on. That's kind of amazing to have that feeling and then trying to figure out what to do with it. And so in your process, you said writing was how you are able to daily figure out what it is your journey is, or is that how you share your what you have learned to others? Is it through just the writing, or is there other things that you do in order to share what you're going through in the process of being this person who has this sensitivity of knowing what's really going on? Because I think a lot of times people wish they had what you have, but the way it sounds and the way you're describing it, it's probably something that we all really don't want, because we're not really sure if we want to know what's going on in our lives or what's going on around us. It's that one thing we say, gosh, I wish I knew what's happening tomorrow or right now. But the reality is, do we really want to know that?
Well, you know what? The interesting thing is, and this has come out even more and more in the writing for me, really is the fact that when you take all of humanity, that we as humanity are so extraordinary, and each one of us is so beautifully and perfectly unique that I know that there are others that are in your audience that have the same level of sensitivity that I have. Mm-hmm. But there's no way to be able to express it. And I'm thinking maybe one of the gifts of my story, maybe one of the contributions of my story is to be able to trust who it is that you are. It's like trust that life knows how to live. Trust that not every flower is the same. Mm-hmm. And trust that there's perfection and contribution that each one of us has that is, perfect for each one of us. Mm-hmm. And I think that I struggled, but my struggle has allowed me to be able to support, like my nieces and nephews and the children of our family mm-hmm. that are also sensitive. Maybe they aren't as sensitive as I am, or maybe their sensitivity shows up in slightly different ways. Mm-hmm. Like I know for one niece, she was having difficulty in studying, and I said, well, do colors mean something to you? She says, yes, I love colors. Well, start taking your notes in colored pen. And I know for me, that helped because I register with color. Color speaks to me. Mm-hmm. And so by taking my notes in colored pens, I can recall the colors.
Wow.
And so you see, I'm able to translate now that high level of sensitivity into life to be able to expand my experience here. And it's interesting that really is the message from the Council of Light. And at the base of the books of In Service to Love mm-hmm. is this extraordinary message that says who you are is love. You are already love. Mm-hmm. And you are living on this planet Earth, but your physical self isn't all of who you are.
Right.
You also have a divine expression. You are a divine expression of God. So it's kind of like what we see of ourselves and of humanity here is the least of us. This is like a part of the messaging, and because I also get pictures and concepts. Mm-hmm. So the picture that I got was, imagine a hand and a glove, and each one of us in our bodies, in our physical experience, is the animated glove. But it's our divine nature that, it's our divine nature, it's our I am self, it's our greatest expression that animates the glove, that informs the glove with what to do. Mm-hmm. And so, we were talking a little bit before we went live today about mm-hmm. About the world that we live in right now, and right. how, I'm going to come back and tie these together here in a minute, is that and what a challenge it is right now. And what I feel, the messaging that I get in writings from the Council of Light and my internal sensing says that what is available now for us was not as easily found before. That as we've gone through this really difficult time and this challenge and this period of loss and this, I told you I kind of went through a grieving period when we mm-hmm. went into shutdown with COVID for the way that life used to be. But what I also see now is the experience beyond loss that says there's so much more that's available. And I think that the invitation right now is for us to express in our wholeness. That means when we have the opportunity to connect our human self with our divine self and live in that space.
Mm-hmm. Right. And yeah, because when we were talking earlier, I even expressed the fact that I believe that it was a moment for us to kind of brought us to our knees and made us go back and look at the things that we should be thankful for what life is really about. Is it really about the material things versus what's really going on with inside of us and what's around us? So what is your thought process of what happened in the last year and a half here or so? What do you feel the real purpose of that was for, beyond what you just said, and, and understanding that, there is definitely more to life than just how we have been dealing with this rat race every day. But what do you truly feel in your sensitivity that you think was happening, and why do you think it happened, and how do you see us going forward in our future?
Well, what I see is, first of all, stand back a little bit. We all have our own personal experiences that's lived through our personalities, but stand, and all of those are true, and stand back from a far different perspective, like stand back, kind of like taking a look at the earth from space. Mm-hmm. And what I see, and all of my messaging has to do with, really, this is an evolutionary process of humanity right now that we are experiencing. Mm-hmm. We are experiencing on this planet a shift in consciousness, a shift from separation consciousness that really is governed more by opposition, right, wrong, that kind of a thing, control and manipulation. And I believe that the new space that is opening up that's inviting us now, because humanity can only evolve. It doesn't devolve. Creation does not devolve. It only evolves. So if we take a look at humanity is evolving. Mm-hmm. So each one of us has this new space, like the door to the birdcage is now open. Mm-hmm. So now what can be possible as we move into what is next available for us? So I believe that it's a natural expression of the evolution of humanity, and that each one of us as individuals has an opportunity to be able to live our greatest life now. Mm-hmm. But it's no longer based from separation. It's really based from a stance of unity consciousness. And that unity consciousness says none of us are healed until all of us are healed.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And that seems to have been the struggle for many, many years. And like you said, it's the part of accepting and saying this is what happened. Because if we don't know what happened in the past, how can you move forward? How can you continue to heal? But until we do become one, we're always going to be struggling to figure out why these constant things are going in the same circle over and over and over. And I agree with exactly what you just said. I mean, it's been an issue. It's always going to be an issue. The things that are constantly going on in our world that we live in our country today, it's just, I've gotten to the point where you're so sick of hearing it, but we hear it so often that people aren't really registering with anything anymore. And until you start looking at yourself, and then when you start to realize that you're no longer listening to your own voice, you're listening to all the things that influence you outside of self, I find is a huge problem with people. We have so much influence. We have so much conformity. And even when people know that they're wrong, and even when they're hearing things that are wrong, they still would go to that side, knowing that, until you heal, until you say that this is wrong, you're never going to ever get past that point. So they're constantly bumping up into these walls, and it's not just the individuals, but as individuals is weird. There's so many of us that make this world that we live in. That's why we're all constantly bumping into each other for the same topics, the same issues, beating each other over the head because of the way we look, because of, this or that. And it's the way you're saying it, it all makes sense. And I think we already know that. But when is it when people are going to learn to start thinking for themselves instead of constantly feeling like, if you're not following...
It can get lonely climbing Mount McKinley, so to entertain myself, I go to ChumbaCasino.com. At Chumba Casino, I can play hundreds of online casino-style games for free, like online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Plus, I get a daily login bonus. It's just too bad that up here, I don't have anyone to share my excitement with. Woohoo! Woohoo!
Live the Chumba life. Anytime, anywhere. Play for free now at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody. Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this, everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
In the crowd and following the group, then there's something wrong with you.
Well, I think that following the crowd is a pretty low bar. Following the crowd does not ask us to show up. Mm-hmm. And I think that really is the time right now. It's like I can declare to show up. And I mentioned before that there was, as I was sitting and kind of thinking, meditating about our time together, there's something that came up about vision. Mm-hmm. Because I know that in some of your writings also, you talk about supporting women, supporting businesses in following their vision. Mm-hmm. May I read a little bit about what it is that I
Sure.
got?
Absolutely.
Okay. Vision can be a business plan, or it can be your greatest and most authentic expression. Where do you find it? Not only in your best thoughts, but in sensing your heart's mission. Your vision is nothing less than your soul's opus. Connect with your vision, knowing that your greatest self, your divine nature and I am presence operates in your life beyond your awareness. The journey of consciousness is connecting with your divine nature on purpose in order to become. And becoming is the term for living a life that's in alignment with your inner calling and expression. So rather than living from the outside in, I believe that the calling is that now's the time to really be living from the inside out. Mm-hmm. And when we live from the inside out, we have the opportunity to listen to our highest self, our best self, and then bring that into the world. And I believe that's certainly an intention that I have every day, is to be able to be aligned with my own divine guidance, my divine self, and walk this world as a contribution. And that's really what the body of work of In Service to Love is about, is that it supports each person on their own unique journey.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's absolutely perfect, and it makes sense. And I think a lot of times if people, like I said, would just learn to listen to self first and realize that this is who you are, this is what you're doing. And when you start to step outside of that path, we already know, usually 90% of the time when we're not doing what we're supposed to do, you're going to go down a direction that you really don't want to go. And sometimes people can't be pulled up out of that because they've gone so far into it until they hit rock bottom. And then they have to come back to reality again and understand that, you already knew, what the answer is, but you have not listened to self. You have not guided, the guidance that's been given to you that we all have that path. And it's so easy to walk off of it because we think we have the answer. We think we know everything. But at the end of the day, when you're walking on that right path and you're here for the right reasons and you're doing things for the right reasons, life does become much more easier, and you're more sensitive to understanding who you are versus what everybody else is telling you who you are and what you are and how you're supposed to be. And, what you just said was profound, and it makes sense. It makes sense to me. I'm sure that there are listeners that it makes sense too, but it's about truly understanding the inner part of you and listening to that guidance that you're given every day and asking for that guidance that God has provided for you is how you handle it versus allowing those from the outside, like you said, the outside world, instead of listening from the inside out. So, it's amazing that they hear your story and hear how you as a healer and a natural person of empathy, the things that you do, you're right. You're not the first person who's come on my show and has talked about, but there's none of you are the same. I don't think I've ever met anybody who has the sensitivity that you guys have and the understanding of your spiritual side, the way that you do. I have not met anybody who's done it the same, even though in a lot of ways you guys are the same purpose about, this stuff, and the way you describe is the service to love. And a part of that is really truly servicing and loving yourself so that you can provide that on the outside to the world the way that it should be. But I want you to talk a little bit about the books. You have 3: Love Remembered, In Service to Love, Love Elevated, In Service to Love, and then Love Now. Can you tell us a little bit of description about each one of those 3 books?
Well, each one of them represents 122 days of writing. So the first book of In Service to Love, which is Love, wasn't that funny? Just like Love Elevated or Love Remembered. Actually, it's right in front of me here. I forgot it for a second. Can you imagine that? Anyway, so it's Love Remembered. I'm just filled right now with so many, with a lot of information. It kind of comes in like a fire hose sometimes. So Love Remembered is my journey of the first 122 days of writing with the Council of Light. And in that process, I had to be able to begin to identify where I get in my own way in my life. Where are the belief systems that I don't even know that they are existing? But where are the belief systems that no longer fit me that are running my life? Book 2 is about taking that level of awareness and moving it into action in life. And then book 3 is about living from the space of enlightenment. And it really is something that it takes energy to not be in like the collective consciousness. It takes energy and intent to be able to be all of who we actually are.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So they're all connected, and it's not like this book is not linear. Mm-hmm. It's a process of experience. You will experience the Council of Light yourself when you read this book, mm-hmm. Or this body of work, and it resonates with each person and meets them where they are at. Okay. So if it's a body of work that speaks to you, it will move you. It's not about just me. It will move the reader on their own path mm-hmm. as well.
Wow.
Yeah. And you'll find life opening up and synchronicities.
Okay. So I know that you've had people ask, well, I feel like you, or I think I've been where you're at. How do you respond to these individuals who think that they're highly sensitive, but really not sure how to handle it or what the steps that they need to take in order to really hone into their sensitivities?
Okay. First of all, there's some very simple rules for anybody that is highly sensitive or even experiences anxiety or something like that. Mm-hmm. The first thing is to be able to be fully present. And by saying, I bring all parts of me present here and now. I bring all parts of me present here and now. I bring all parts of me present here and now. Did you feel a little bit of a tingliness going on there? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that really is the experience of all of your awareness coming into one spot, which is where it is that you're residing right now. And then you can every day you can say, I choose to be love. I choose to be clarity. I choose to be compassion. I choose to be peace. So you've set up an intention for how your day is going to go. Mm-hmm. And it'll be fascinating. Once you begin to do that, you'll notice how the experience of your day will absolutely shift because you are declaring how it goes. Mm-hmm. It sounds very simple, and it is. But when somebody is really empathic and your attention is way out in the world, the experience is one of chaos when you're in the outer rings of a hurricane. right? So it's about bringing your awareness into the very center. Begin to look for your own space of stillness. I bring all parts of me present here and now. And then you create how your day is going to go. I choose to be love. I choose to be clarity. And you walk your day being as present as you possibly can. And at the same time, release everything. I release everything that no longer serves me, so that I may express my soul's voice fully.
Mm-hmm.
I choose to live my greatest expression with contribution, ease, grace, joy, and peace. And then you begin to live through your own sense of inner knowing.
Wow.
And that's kind of a short version.
Yeah, but it's relaxing. It's relaxing and it's affirming. And that's the one thing that I was listening to as you were saying each one of them, through your voice. It gives you, like you said, that opportunity to provide that clarity, to live simplicity, to love in a certain way, to where you have that understanding. But I love the affirmation portion of it, because that's, to me, what you're doing is you're affirming to yourself, this is how your day is going to be, and this is what it's going to be from now, not from what used to be, but from this point on, so that you can continue to move forward every day. And I just think it's fascinating how you were saying earlier too about how 122 days of writing for each book. That is a long time, a lot of information coming out of you to share about yourself, and then how to move forward, and to provide this little bit of tidbit of information about clarity for yourself. How do you do it? Because I mean, even talking to you, I can tell that there's so much more that you want to say, and it's like you said, it's like constantly running through your head. I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, how do you handle that every day?
Oh, Kimberly, the fact of the matter is that I can sense who you are. I have a sense, and I can sense people that are in your audience. And I got to say, I'm in love. I just have love and respect for every person that is in your audience right now, and that hears this even moving forward. And I'm wanting to keep on stressing that who we are as humanity, and that the call right now, even though I had a call from the Masters and the Council of Light to be able to live my soul's calling, and that's what this body of work is. This is my soul's calling. This is my soul level work. But each one of us has that. Right. But it looks different for each one of us. And it's kind of like, my intention would be to say, shift your awareness to what your soul's voice has always been communicating to you. If you've placed any of your dreams, any of your hopes on the back burner, I'm wanting to encourage you to revisit them, because they're ready to be lived right now. And you don't do that by looking back. It's by saying, I choose all of me right now. I choose my greatest life right now. And you see, the thing is that life begins to get easier when we do that. Because life is difficult when we're living who we aren't.
Amen to that.
Life gets easier when we live who we are.
Absolutely.
And so this whole process is about beginning to live the greatest and most authentic life possible as we move our perspective away from the chaos and poor behavior of collective consciousness, and say, no.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody. Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this, everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm, Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It's not a reflection of me. I choose to shine the light. I choose to be the contribution that I came here to be. I choose to live my soul's voice here. And each one of us has that. It's not just me. Mine shows up in this particular way, right?
Right.
We all have it, right? It's connection with family. It's, some may be, a beautiful space that's held of compassion. Others are, a space of inspiration, a space of clarity and direction. It's like the world is designed for each one of us to be able to live our best.
Right.
And we can only find that as we move inside and begin to listen with new ears and see with new eyes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. Like you said, it's about looking from the inside versus from the outside in. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Wow. Like I said, we could continue to talk forever on this topic because it's important. It's something that's necessary. And like I said, the world being in such we were in such turmoil and still are to some degree. And it's because of humanity, because people need to learn to come together. They need to learn to look at self and realize the things that they're doing and that they have a choice. And that's really what it's about. And like I said, we can all live better lives, but I think it's all about the choices that you make. And until you have healed within and have learned to understand who you are as an individual, it's going to be harder for you as that individual to come together as one. And I think that's a prayer that a lot of us have within ourselves, that you just want peace. And I think I've heard a statement a million times that peace is expensive to buy. And we shouldn't have to buy peace. And I think that's the sad part that I see and feel every day, is that you get so tired of feeling like you're going through the same old thing over and over, not because of me, but because of the people on the outside not understanding that I'm just like everybody else. We're all human. We all have certain things that we want, and the basis of it is love, connection, being respected for who you are and what you are. And just having peace, that every single day, peace. And I think that
every day.
I'm sorry.
And it's possible.
It's
absolutely possible. And it's like who it is that I am is not conditioned by other people outside of me. So this takes. So what I've learned to do is be able to identify that as somebody else's journey. Mm-hmm. Not mine.
Right.
I choose my journey, and I choose to be all that I can be right now. And I choose the joy. I choose the peace. And I don't have to earn it. It's mine, and it's my birthright. And it's the case with each and every single one of us. Mm-hmm. And and I think that it's interesting that this word is coming up for me right now, is that we each have an opportunity in this now immaculate moment to be able to claim our wholeness. And as we have the courage to be able to stand in the light of our own divine nature, what happens is that we heal our lineage. Mm-hmm. I've felt for many years on my spiritual path, and I'm doing work not just for me, but I'm doing work for my lineage as well. Mm-hmm. And I feel that as we stand in the light of our own truth, like we claim it, like stake that claim, it's like we heal. And the messages that I get from the Council of Light is that you can't even believe how your stance of love on this planet alters reality. And it touches people around the world you will never even see. Mm-hmm. And so it's choosing that.
Right.
And I know that it sounds like a lot. It sounds that it's also the most rewarding, soul fulfilling, sacred experience for me of my life. And it is such a deep honor to be able to share that with you and with your audience today.
Well, we do appreciate you coming on tonight and talking to us and about these. It's very simple, about loving yourself, choosing the right path for yourself, and it's all there. And like I said, it's really just taking the time to deal with it and realizing that your life will be much simpler and happier and much more in peace when you decide to go in that direction. And that's just my simple version of putting it, but I definitely understand the wholeness of what you're talking about, because I think it's a part of what most of us want to live every day. It's just how you choose to do it. And, some people just can't stay on that path because they're so busy worrying about hanging as a whole with the people so that they don't feel like they're an outsider. But in reality, you are an outsider because you're not living the life that has been chosen for you and the path that you really should be going down. Like I said, that everybody has a passion. Everybody has something that they want and want to work hard for. It's just how you decide to deal with it and when you decide to choose to go that direction. But oh, wow. Like I said, this has been a phenomenal conversation, Darlene. And before we end this evening, though, please tell the listeners how they can get a hold of you or where they can purchase your books. And if you have anything that you'd like to share about any activities going on or any events that, you want to share, please do so.
Sure. My website is Darlene Green Author.com, and that's Darlene, Darlene, and then Green, Green, author.com. The 3 books of In Service to Love are available on Amazon. They're available at Barnes & Noble or any other place you would be finding books. On my website, I have got some blogs, and I also have, it's pretty much a monthly group call that's available. It's called A Conscious Conversation. Mm-hmm. And it's for people that want more of this kind of a conversation. What happens is that if you choose to participate in a conscious conversation, the next one is scheduled for July 15th at 6 o'clock Pacific time. And they typically go about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on what's happening. But what happens is that I speak from the perspective of the Council of Light. And so there's often new topics or things that come in, but it's really more of an experience of, it's like a high-frequency conversation that supports the well-being and wholeness of each participant. And that certainly is the intention. So it's not like it's just thoughts. It's just, actually very much the way our conversation has been. It's been filled not just with ideas. It's been filled with a sense that goes beyond that. And that's what a conscious conversation is about. So you can learn more about that on my website, DarleneGreenAuthor.com. And I have social media platforms as well, and you can get to those on my website as well. And so if you feel at all interested, email me at dg@DarleneGreenAuthor.com, and I'd be happy to send you the Zoom link for the next conversation.
All right. Wow. That was awesome information. Thank you for sharing that. And do you have any last words for our guest this evening? Or for our listeners, should I say? This evening, sorry, go ahead.
I do. And that is, and I'm going to do a reading here. This is from the last page of Book 3, which is In Service to Love, Love Now. Okay. And so this is from the Council of Light. After the handrails are gone, after the vows of limitation for this lifetime are dissolved, after you have delved deeply into the unknown of your own soul, sourced by the divine light of love, you find your sovereignty. Sovereignty is a state of wholeness where you have access to your essential self, no longer dependent upon opinions, circumstances, or waiting for a time when it's safe to express all of you. You ultimately find yourself as sovereign, and you realize you have become. You stand in wholeness, radiant, emanating the light of the divine, diminished by no one and no thing. In the peace, magnificence, and stark realization of the moment that you have become, you walk within the light of your wholeness. And now what, beloved? What becomes possible when one is love now?
Love that. Perfect way to end this evening and segueing to the total end of the show for tonight. Oh my gosh, Darlene, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me this evening on my platform and sharing your story. And for those listeners, if you're missing the live, you can obviously go back and listen to the replay, but you definitely have to come back on and listen to Miss Darlene Green, who is the author of In Service to Love. She has 3 amazing books: Love Remembered, In Service to Love, Love Elevated, In Service to Love, and Love Now. You definitely need to listen to this. This is something that we all really need in this time and place in our lives, is some humanity, people learning to serve with love. And that means serving in love within yourself. And of course, that always leads me to the listeners to think about, what do you wish existed for yourself? What are your dreams? How are you going to turn those dreams into your goals and learn to do what you were created to do? That's something I always talk about. And so if you're willing and you want to have that conversation, you can reach out to me anytime at Kimberly, WSBILC@gmail.com, and we can chat about these things. And of course, as I always say, if you want more of your resource for success, you are more than welcome to donate to support the podcast. And we have the Cash App, and it's $sign and then KMCLEMORE, or go to www.WSBILLC.com, which is the website. You can donate directly from there. And again, we like to thank you all for listening to us tonight. I want to say that we will be, I'm usually here every week. And so for the first time during the summer, we are going to not be around and will not have any live shows throughout the summer. And obviously there's always a reason for everything, but I've been sworn to secrecy that I cannot talk anymore about what's going to be happening. So just know that you're more than welcome to obviously go back and listen to all of the 200 something interviews. We have over 200 interviews on all of our platforms. Of course, you can go to iHeartRadio. You can download our mobile app on Google Play, or of course you can listen to the podcast wherever you always listen to your podcasts. But just remember, we will be back. Until then, though, please enjoy the rest of your evening and good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.WSBILLC.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
All right.
ET is Ryan Seacrest here. People always say it's good to unwind, but that's easier said than done. The exception, Chumba Casino. They actually make it easier done than said, or at least the same. Chumba Casino is an online social casino with hundreds of casino-style games like slots and blackjack. Play for fun. Play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Sign up now and collect your free welcome bonus at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search. Match with Indeed. The hiring process can be slow and overwhelming. Simplify hiring with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. That's Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Terms and conditions apply.